Hello and welcome to the Intuition tutorials for the artificial neural networks part of the course. Super excited to get these things started, and today we're going to find out how we're going to tackle this section. So in this section we will learn the following things. First of all, we'll talk about the neuron. So there'll be a little bit of neuroscience, and we'll find out a bit about how the human brain works and why we're trying to replicate that, and we'll also see what the main building block of a neural network, the neuron, looks like. Then in the next tutorial, we'll talk about the activation function, and we'll look at a couple of examples of activation functions that you could use in your neural networks, and we'll find out which one of them is the most commonly used one in neural networks, and in which layers you would rather use which functions. Then we'll talk about how neural networks work. So in contrast to what you would expect and what is probably conveyed in other courses and tutorials, we're not going to go into the learning. We're actually going to go into the working of the neural networks first, because that way, by seeing a neural network in action, that will allow us to understand what we're aiming towards, what our goal is. So here we'll look at an example of a neural network. We're going to look at a very simplified hypothetical example of a neural network working to predict housing prices, so basically real estate prices. And by looking at that example, we'll understand better exactly what we're aiming towards and what we want to achieve in the end. And then we will move on to understanding how neural networks learn, because that way we'll be more prepared for what's coming. Then we'll talk about gradient descent. This is also part of neural networks learning, and we'll understand how that algorithm is better than just the brute force method that you might be intending or willing to take as a first resort or first method that comes to mind. So we'll find out what the advantage of gradient descent are, and then we'll talk about stochastic gradient descent. It's a continuation of the gradient descent tutorial, but it's an even better and even stronger method, and we'll find out exactly how it works. And finally, we'll wrap things up by mentioning the important things about backpropagation and summarizing everything in a step-by-step set of instructions for running your artificial neural networks. I hope this all sounds very exciting to you, because I am very excited myself and I can't wait to get started. I look forward to seeing you on the first tutorial, and until then, enjoy deep learning.